don't believe in it. We want you to determine for yourselves within the realm of U.S. interests.
Well, you could look at the Gaza Strip. U.S. is promoting democracy in the Middle East. That's the goal, right? The U.S. isolates Fatah and Yasser Arafat, right? Because, you know, that was the bad group. We're going to promote democracies. Hamas won elections. And then the U.S. said, no, right? We don't like Hamas. Now we like Fatah, right? So, in that, I mean, there's an example where, you know, national interest, or at least that's the way the U.S. defines it, might not just be national determination or democracy, something else at work there. But a couple things I want to get at. First of all, how many people think a military solution in Afghanistan was appropriate? Oh, Lord. Afghanistan. How many think the invasion of Afghanistan was warranted? Let's go back to 2002. Okay, so see, I see some, you know, and that's clearly how this guy, this group here, you're defining that, right? And how many people think that then the invasion of Iraq in 2003 was warranted, was a good idea?
Good idea, justified.
Let's say how many people think that the invasion of Iraq was an appropriate way of fighting a war against radical Islamic groups willing to use terrorist tactics? Okay, so I mean, 2.5, 3, maybe 4. Okay, so you know, there is this kind of difference here. We're sort of conflating, and it's very difficult to do because it's been done by our policymakers, and now clearly it's being used to, the war in Iraq has been, you know, an enormous success for Al-Qaeda, right? In terms of recruiting. I think, you know, that's, well, I mean, don't take my word for it, just read what the National Intelligence Estimate said about the war here. This is the director, Office of the Director of National Intelligence here, okay? So, you know, now we'll talk more about decision making. We have a Director of National Intelligence involving all these agencies, interagency, and then their 2006 report here. I mean, it was controversial at the time. Right? So, you know, we assess that the Iraq Jihad is shaping a new generation of terrorist leaders and operatives. Perceived jihadist success there would inspire more fighters to continue the struggle elsewhere. The Iraq conflict has become the cause célèbre for jihadists, breeding a deep resentment of U.S. involvement in the Muslim world and cultivating supporters for the global jihadist movement. Should jihadists leaving Iraq perceive themselves and be perceived to have failed, we judge fewer fighters would be inspired to carry on the fight. Okay, so you know they are saying that it's better to win in Iraq than to lose, but certainly it's motivating people to join. And here we assess that the underlying factors fueling the spread of the movement outweighs vulnerabilities and are unlikely to do so for the duration of the time frame. This estimate, these underlying factors fueling the spread of jihadist movement, entrenched grievances such as corruption, injustice, and fear of Western domination, leading to anger, humiliation, and a sense of powerlessness. The Iraq Jihad, it's the second one. 3, the slow pace of real and sustained economic, social, and political reforms in many Muslim-majority nations, and 4, pervasive anti-U.S. sentiment among most Muslims, all of its jihadists. Right, so if we make this distinction, I mean, I think, you know, and we are going to talk about Iraq, but perhaps if you just were to somehow set aside Iraq, maybe one would argue that in Afghanistan it would, you know, helpful to have the military. Right? Now that being said, John McCain and Barack Obama, when they were campaigning, both agreed that Afghanistan is not being won right now. Right? Losing in Afghanistan. So, I mean, they both said that. So that's something that would be of concern. Now, they also brought up here this idea that it's a horizontal organization, right? Activities, jihadists are a small percentage of Muslims. They're increasing in number and geographic dispersion. Threats to U.S. interests at home and abroad will become more diverse. Greater pluralism and more responsive political systems in Muslim majority nations would alleviate some of the grievances. So the global jihadist movement is decentralized, lacks a coherent global strategy, and is becoming diffuse. So, maybe it's a tool in the toolbox, right? What's that old cliche? If all you have is a hammer, every solution looks like a nail. That type of thing. It's, perhaps related to that. The other thing, quickly, what about Israel? Is that important here? You think? How so? You think it's important, U.S. policy? If Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and George Mitchell, the special envoy, if they were able to broker some kind of meaningful agreement between Israel and Palestine and create a viable Palestinian state, do you think that it would reduce the appeal of radical jihadist groups?
No.
Go ahead.
I think you've at least got a shot.